Hey everybody, it's Allie and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, April 30th, 2017. It is time to come out of the coat closet, Billy and Phyllis. Come out of the coat closet. I am fully and completely out of the coat closet when it comes to being a Billy and Phyllis fan. I can't hide it. They are probably the most exciting couple on the show. For me, right now anyway. I know that not everybody feels that way, but a lot of people do. I feel good about Billy and Phyllis because there's just so much chemistry. I think that if their relationships, their previous relationships and marriages hadn't existed and Billy and Phyllis were just in a bubble, two single people meeting each other for the first time with no other connections, I think that we would probably all really be loving them. There's just so much personality and heat and drama between these two. I think they're a fantastic couple, and honestly, the affair doesn't bother me as much right now as a viewer, not as a person. If I'm looking at it purely from a human perspective, no, of course not. Their affair was wrong. They hurt Jack. Obviously that was the wrong thing to do. But purely just isolating it in terms of a show I like to watch, the affair doesn't bother me. Phyllis had this really far more scandalous affair with Nicholas when he was distancing himself from Sharon after they had just lost a child, and that didn't stop me from enjoying that whole run, the Phyllis and Nick relationship. The only thing about Billy and Phyllis that I want right now is for them to find a way to work their relationship out from under the shroud of shame and secrecy. And I think that they have got some work to do to get there. They both very much had intentions of doing that this week. They're finding themselves compelled toward each other, picking up where they left off, realizing that they have the opportunity to actually start a life together, to be out in the open, and they want to get started on the right foot this time. I think they both genuinely do. They individually had intentions of telling Jack and Phyllis. Phyllis wanted to tell Jack. Billy wanted to be the one to tell Victoria, but it didn't quite work out that way. The timing was all wrong. Phyllis went to tell Jack, and he just wasn't in the place to receive that information. It wasn't gonna go well, and Victoria is, of course, now coming around with Billy, trying to find ways to convince him that she's changed, and she works with Nikki to concoct a little bit of a lie about Nikki's MS and uses that as the excuse to tell Billy why she was keeping something from him. Both situations, I understand why Billy and Phyllis felt that the timing wasn't right, but at the same time, I feel like, when is the timing going to be right? This relationship going public is never going to be accepted by Victoria or Jack and probably the rest of the world in a positive way. So you might as well just rip off the Band-Aid and just go with it. The point is the truth. The point is being honest about your relationship. The point is forcing other people to accept that you're an adult, you're both adults, you're both single, and you have a right to date who you want to date. That's the point. So get it out there. I really wanted to see them take control of their lives and of their relationships and be open about it. And it makes me a little bit nervous that both of them individually backed out. It makes me nervous that maybe Billy and Phyllis don't exactly know how to be together openly. And of course, it also makes me nervous that Billy was fully ready to be committed to Victoria 2 weeks ago, literally, he was 2 weeks ago coming back from the hockey deal in Canada, and he was ready to start a life with Victoria, and on a dime it just completely changes. I'm trying to, again, separate the as a human and as a viewer reactions, because as a human I'd be like, come on, I mean, this is a little too fast of a flip for me, Billy. But as a viewer, I'm willing to let it go a little bit, because I kind of think that Y&R is listening to the fans, and I mean, Billy and Phyllis have a really strong fan base here. I think that there were a lot of people that wanted to see them give it a whirl, and that's what Y&R is giving us. So I kind of think that maybe this quick transition to Billy and Phyllis is more fan driven and less character driven. So I'm gonna go with it. Oh my goodness. Although I feel kind of sorry for Victoria. I think she's I got some humiliation coming her way. She after Billy can't tell her the truth about his relationship with Phyllis due to her working up the MS sympathy with Nikki. She is trying to present herself as something different. She's trying to pull herself out of being her tight little ice queen ball, and she can never quite pull it off. She decides to invite everybody at Brash and Sassy, all of the employees, out to dinner. She's trying to be like the cool boss now, giving everybody compliments, inviting them out to dinner, but she can't even do that right. She called it, she was like, I want to just invite you all out to a casual bonding experience. A casual bonding experience? She's so stiff, and she doesn't know it. She can't seem to help it. But I thought that was kind of funny. So they all go to the top of the tower. All of the Brash and Sassy staff go to the top of the tower for a casual bonding experience. And I mean, the whole time Victoria is trying painfully hard to seem relaxed, to seem cool, and it's not working for her. It's almost comical, and it almost makes me feel a little bit humiliated for her. But Phyllis finds out that Billy didn't tell Victoria like he said he was going to. I mean, she didn't tell Jack like she said she was going to. And also, Billy canceled a romantic dinner that they had planned because he got sucked into this casual bonding experience with Brash and Sassy. And Phyllis doesn't like it. She doesn't like that she now has her sight focused on Billy. She's hungry for him, and she certainly doesn't want him to be off spending time with Victoria. So she weasels her way in between a romantic dinner that was about to happen with Ravi and Ashley. She totally crashes their little party so that she can go to the top of the tower and have an excuse to be there watching them. Stalkerish. It was really kind of creepy. I mean, it was obvious that she was jealous and concerned. I mean, the entire night she was drinking and like leering over at the table where Billy and Victoria are having a business dinner. They work together. It was definitely a little bit obsessive, Phyllis. I mean, I don't know if in her mind she might be thinking that she knows the bomb is going to drop at any moment, and maybe she's trying to mentally prepare herself for that, but it came off to me as a little bit just jealous, right? Maybe she is insecure in the fact that Billy was interested in pursuing a life with Victoria a couple of weeks ago. So maybe that's going to be Phyllis's Achilles heel a little bit. Again, it does remind me of when Phyllis was involved with Nick. Phyllis, the entire relationship with Phyllis and Nick, she was constantly worried about Sharon. Phyllis always had a feeling that Nick and Sharon were meant to be together, or that Nick and Sharon had this really strong history and really strong bond, and Nick was always going to Sharon to help her. And I think Phyllis always felt insecure in that relationship. She always felt insecure, with good reason, in the relationship that she had with Danny. So I think the only man who has really ever made Phyllis feel like she was the center of his universe was Jack. And that's probably the reason why a lot of fans still strongly feel that bond between Phyllis and Jack. My only argument there is that I'm not sure that the chemistry between this particular Phyllis and Jack quite come off and work the way it did before, because I am a huge Phyllis and Jack fan. I liked that for her. I liked that Jack made her feel secure and made her feel like she was everything. And she ended up cheating on him. But I digress. I think that Phyllis is going to always be insecure when it comes to Billy and Victoria. She was insecure but looked great in that dress. I mean, did you guys see how I loved her hair? I loved her dress. She looked so beautiful, like constantly texting Billy to find out what was going on. She ended up telling him, "Meet me in the coat closet." I mean, I think that Billy and Phyllis also just really kind of get off on the elusiveness or the scandalousness, the doing something that's a little bit naughty. I think they just both really, that's sort of how their relationship developed, and it's what they know now, so they kind of continue to do that. I mean, earlier it was like, meet me in the elevator. I don't know how you meet someone in an elevator. Elevators are constantly going up and down, different floors. You can miss them. Which elevator? I don't know. I thought that was a weird place to meet, but they are sneaking little moments together where they can, and it was hot. I mean, they were making out in the coat closet, and I was like, geez, yeah, okay. It's so risky. I think that these are two people who like the risk, and if you like the risk, then you're really gonna like the fact that Kane ended up standing right outside of that coat closet, ended up hearing everything that they were saying to each other, which was in essence that they're together now and wanting to be open about it, and they don't want to go down the same path of having the affair, but obviously Kane was able to pick up that Victoria knows nothing about it and that they're concerned about how they're gonna spread this information. So I'm sure that Kane is standing there right now thinking, yeah, oh ho ho ho, here's a little tidbit of information. I mean, there's nothing stopping Kane from just telling this to Victoria now. I'm positive that Kane thinks he's gonna get Billy fired over all of this. I don't know if that would be the case. I actually had gotten a voicemail from Gary that sort of blew my mind, because I never would have guessed this, but Gary had read in Soap Opera Digest that the little twist to this story, I hope this isn't a spoiler for anyone, is that Victoria may just decide to fight for Billy when she finds out about his relationship with Phyllis. So instead of being the normal Victoria, going her normal path and telling him off, and I'm never gonna ban Billy again, that she may actually decide to turn around and fight for him. And I think that's an interesting choice. I wouldn't have seen it coming. I wonder how you guys feel about that. I think it's a good place for us to put a poll this week. Do you think that Victoria should fight for her relationship with Billy? She obviously loves him. She's floundered back and forth. Is this an opportunity for some growth in her, some growth in her character? Should she turn around and fight for the man that she loves? YRChat.com. I want to see and hear some perspective, maybe even from some Victoria and Billy fans. Tell me why you think Victoria should or should not continue to pursue Billy. I kind of think that if it's all about couples, then I personally would say no. I mean, I think that Victoria can find some other option. I don't know, it's hard to say. He is the father of her children. It's just, that I say this every time I talk about Billy and Victoria, but I just feel like he's not the right man for her. I just think she needs someone a little more structured. I feel she constantly is disappointed by him. She's constantly kind of berating him and making him feel like he's her child instead of her equal. So in my mind, I just think, well, maybe he's not the man for her. But if it is just about the drama, and again, separating myself from a purely viewing perspective, I like the idea of Victoria fighting for Billy and keeping him around. I think it's got a lot of drama potential if she finds out everything and he's still working at Brash and Sassy. They're all in the same office together, and maybe she's trying to get him back, trying to make Phyllis jealous. I think that's got some potential to be fun to watch too. It would also really get up under Kane's skin. Ooh, right now at this very moment, Kane thinks he has got a whopper of a secret on his hands. But people who have secrets should tread carefully when revealing other people's secrets. Juliet is busy picking Lily's wardrobe for a Brash and Sassy photo shoot, and what should happen but she finds her own camisole, the very camisole that we found in Kane's suitcase, hanging on the Brash and Sassy wardrobe rack. Of course, it was because Jordan fished it out of the trash where Kane put it several weeks ago. And there's this moment where we as the audience see Juliet realizing that this is her camisole. She picks it up and she's standing there with it. Kane walks up behind her and says, "What are you doing with that?" And as the audience, I think, did you, maybe you didn't have the similar reaction, but I thought, is Juliet gonna have some kind of shady moment where she gives that camisole to Lily just to kind of mess with Kane? I think that I naturally am very suspicious of Juliet, but I think I wanna try to spin some perspective here and see if we could look at this from a different way. Because I think as soap fans, it's natural for us to assume that she's gonna be causing some trouble intentionally. But really, honestly, if I'm honest with myself, Juliet really hasn't done anything overt to mess with Kane or to mess with Lily, or, I mean, she's definitely tried to convince him and help him that, you know, it's no big deal, they slept together, I'm not gonna tell anyone. I keep going back and forth, flip-flopping, wondering if she is a nice girl, possibly, the way that she claims she is. I know there are little things that we could interpret as her being insidious, but is there any chance that's just us being suspicious? I wonder if the twist is going to be that Juliet is a genuine person, that she actually just really loves her job, that she's just a nice girl. I don't know. It could go either way. It's very possible that Y&R is playing it a little bit neutral with maybe a few question marks thrown in to see how we react. I don't know if she's a character that has long-term staying power. I kind of like the actress. She has a little something in her that it's like I'm watching her face and I'm trying to interpret, and she's giving me mystery. I don't quite know what's going on behind Juliet's eyes. She doesn't know anybody else in town to have any kind of exposition with them, so I don't really know at this point if she's good or if she's bad. I think it could really go either way. But when it comes down to that freaking camisole, this is no one's fault but Kane's. I mean, why did he toss it there in the first place? Why would you dispose of evidence where it would be so easy for your wife to find it or for anybody to find it? And that's exactly what happened. I mean, what do you know? The camisole goes perfectly, like, with the jacket that Lily's gonna wear for the photo shoot. Lily is the one that comes in and says, "Ooh, I'll have that camisole." She puts it on, snatches it, and wears it for the entire photo shoot. So Kane is looking at his wife, who is unknowingly wearing the camisole that Juliet wore on the night that they had the romp in Tokyo. Allegedly. The alleged romp. I don't know. I mean, I still go back and forth on whether or not I think that even happened. I mean, did it happen? Did Juliet just stage it? Or did it happen and she slipped him a Mickey? Or am I just making excuses for Kane? Maybe he did sleep with Juliet. Maybe at the end of the day, Kane just screwed up and I should should stop looking for other reasons. If we're going to talk about people who have suspicious pasts and suspicious behavior, Kane is far more guilty. I mean, there's far more reason to believe that Kane screwed up and did something bad than there is Juliet. I mean, we don't know anything about her. But I did feel and understand and wear Kane's guilt in that moment and in the following moments. I mean, the way he just had his head down, I think the actor did a really wonderful job. I mean, I could feel it on his face. I could feel it in his body language that he just feels sick with himself. Like he could probably physically throw up. He's so sick with himself. I mean, he wants to just unburden himself. Lily is his partner, the love of his life. He doesn't remember doing this horrible thing. He knows that if he tells her, it's going to destroy their relationship. So he wants to just let it out and tell her. Juliet has to convince him not to. And she says, well, you're going to do this. You're going to destroy your relationship. You're going to make things awkward for all of us at work. Kane, just let it go. I don't know. Do you feel do you want to see Kane just tell Lily? And if so, what would Lily's reaction be? I can't imagine that she's just going to be okay with it. I think that if Kane were to tell her, it's probably the end of their relationship. And I don't know. So it's part of me. It's of course he should tell the truth, but at the same time, I know that that's probably going to be dunzo for their relationship. I don't know. Juliet, I tell you what, I think she's gonna, whether knowingly or unknowingly, lead to the secret coming out anyway. She keeps having these little asides with Jordan where she feeds him little bits of information. And I really don't know if it's intentional, because if she's stopping Kane from just telling Lily, then why would she intentionally lead Jordan to suspect that something is up with Kane? But she keeps saying little things, like she tips Jordan off to the fact that Kane wasn't really happy about Lily's modeling career in the first place. And then at the Brash and Sassy dinner, she says something to Jordan that indicates that Kane is a drinker, that Kane can party, or that, that they partied together, that Kane and Juliet drank together. So, gosh, I just can't imagine why she would do that. Intentionally, or I just almost wonder if, I'm going to try to give Juliet the benefit of the doubt and wonder if she's just having her feelings too about the work environment and about what's going on with Kane. And maybe she just sort of made an offhand comment. Maybe she kind of wants an ally, somebody to vent to Kane about, because he is being kind of a pain in the ass. At this point, as much as I really like Kane, he's to blame here too. I mean, if she didn't set him up, then he's to blame here too. So maybe she's just unburdening himself. But I think ultimately she's going to end up feeding enough info to Jordan for Jordan to figure out what happened between them. Somehow I just never really expected Hillary and Devon to really break up. I just imagined that at the 11th hour they were going to get back together, but that didn't happen. The divorce is final this week, and it's weird because the divorce is final, yet their relationship is anything but final. There's still so many lingering emotions that are going on there. It was very matter of fact that they just went to the courthouse, and just like that, in a few minutes, their marriage was dissolved. But that doesn't mean that the feelings were dissolved either. The first episode of the Hillary Hour is on set today. The GC Buzz has been rebranded to be the Hillary Hour. It's all about Hillary. Mariah is definitely up in a tizzy about it, realizing that her role has been more and more reduced. They go live, they start recording the episode, and much to everyone's surprise, Hillary decides to open up about what she went through with the divorce. And she really had very little to say to Devon specifically. I think she was saving saving it for the show. She really talked about her divorce openly, and she said a lot of what's happened, or, I understand and accept that my marriage is over because of me. I don't have any ill will toward Devon. I wish him the best, and I'm gonna try to move on with my life. I realize that I have been bitter, and that's not how I want to live my life from now on. I'm gonna try to be a new me. And it just seemed like such a watershed moment almost. She just wishes Devon well. She even takes off her ring on camera. It was definitely dramatic. It was a little, probably that moment of pulling off the rings was almost a little theatrical in a way. It was just very surprising, and it totally surprised Mariah, who was sitting next to her, expecting Hillary to have some scandalous story that she was going to talk about. And Mariah was even taking a page from the book of Hillary herself and thinking, I'm going to get you. I mean, I think Mariah something was in her mind. She, I think, was going to try. She had already sort of had subtle shady moments toward Hillary on the air, but I kind of think Mariah was planning something a little bigger, maybe even to humiliate Hillary. But then Hillary has this emotional moment. Mariah pulls back, is totally surprised. I was pretty surprised by it. I wonder if there are still viewers out there who are kind of questioning Hillary's moments. Do you think that Hillary's on-air confession was completely sincere, or her on-air opening up? Do you think that she meant what she said? Do you think it was cathartic for her to do it in such a public way, or are you suspicious of the fact that she did it in such a public way? I can kind of see the argument that it was self-serving. She did it on her TV show, and I'm sure that it's not lost on her that there are ratings that are going to follow this. I think Hillary very much likes to be the center of attention. I mean, she rebranded the show the Hillary Hour. All the posters are about her. So I think that is a part of her that is seeing this as a way to kind of extend her personality out to the public and to be a public persona. But I also think that she really did mean what she said, and I hope that this is going to be a new beginning for her, and not the calm before a nude photo scandal storm. I don't want that for her. I had initially predicted that maybe Hillary was going to release those nude photos on her own as a way to get publicity for the show, but she just seems changed to me now, and so I wonder if, and I hope not, but those nude photos are going to come out one way or the other, you know it, and I'm afraid that she's going to be embarrassed by them now rather than embracing them. I don't know. But then on the other end, we have Mariah, who seems to be taking kind of more control. She seems to be changing in maybe an opposite way. She's dating Devon now. They have a date at the top of the tower, and women are like slipping Devon their phone numbers left and right. He is Genoa City's most eligible bachelor. I think maybe the Hillary Hour should do a bachelor style like TV show. They should produce a TV show of The Bachelor with Devon as the main attraction. Genoa City's second most eligible bachelor is Ravi. Oh, Ravi and Ashley are back from New York, and they so desperately need a moment together. They need some time to talk about what happened, and there were no opportunities at the office to discuss it or really even acknowledge it, that they had this kiss and they had this moment and they're both kind of into each other, and they need to make time for this. So Ravi asks her out to dinner, and I loved how quickly Ashley accepted. There was no more hesitation in her voice or in her, in her body language. She just likes Ravi. I think she's hit a turning point. I think she realizes that Ravi makes her happy, and there's no reason why they shouldn't continue to spend time together, which is why it was extra annoying that Phyllis crashed their date. Phyllis knows that Ravi and Ashley are trying to work up a relationship. She has been Ravi's confidant this entire time. She gave him the makeover. She's given him encouragement. It was so rude of her to crash their date when she knows how much it means to Ravi. I was pissed at her for that. I was glad he stuck her with the bill. That was a really cute moment too. Gosh, Ravi is just adorable. I do worry about Ashley and Ravi, though. I think that we're seeing some signs of some insecurity between them. It's very much like Phyllis. It's hard to feel secure in a new relationship, but I think it's real. The fact that both Ravi and Ashley have things that they're worried about at this early stage of a relationship is real. There's the age difference between them, which Ashley's probably a little weirded out by. There's the fact that even though they both work at Jabot, will they continue to work together? That's something that Ravi's worried about. Is he going to can be able to see her as often? And then there's like the other women. Ravi's young. He's an eligible bachelor. There are other women who might be interested in him. I think that's an insecurity of Ashley's. The only thing Ashley is not insecure about is Jabot. The whole dinner brash and sassy casual bonding experience at top of the tower ended up being a cosmetics war. There was Brash and Sassy's table, and then there was Ravi and Ashley and Phyllis's table. It was kind of hilarious that Victoria sent over a bottle of champagne to celebrate Brash and Sassy's sales. That was funny and catty of Victoria. But I thought especially that the scene in the ladies' room was so cool. It was Jabot versus Brash and Sassy in a cosmetics war in the bathroom. I just thought that was so cool. Everybody is in there, Victoria having just one-upped Ashley with the champagne, and Ashley comes in and says, well, actually, if you don't like Jabot's products, well, then why is Hillary wearing our eyeshadow? And why is Juliet wearing a little too much of our perfume? It was wonderful. I liked the set. I liked that we're just seeing different things. I mean, a bathroom, how novel. Just a ladies' room. And I hope they keep that set too, because there's so much potential for little run-ins there. And again, that's real. It's like, if you've ever been out to dinner with ladies, they all go to the bathroom at the same time. And it's just, that's such a good opportunity to make Genoa City feel a little more like life. The only thing I couldn't believe was the fact that top of the tower, a building which Victor owns and has his company in, would even offer Jabot toiletries on the counter. I am very, very concerned about Abby. I think she is in the line of fire here, and I'm not sure that she's ready for that. Ashley picks up on the fact that Abby's being a little squirrely. She even, Ravi offered to talk to Abby, but she doesn't bite. It's pretty clear that something's going on with her. Abby's not confiding with anyone. She, at the beginning of the week, decided to move forward as planned with her incubator idea. She buys a warehouse to house all the little companies that they're going to invest in, and then she starts to get all paranoid that Victor is testing her. Is it right that he left town, right, and made me the CEO, right, as I'm working on this project? Does he know? She just realizes that this was a bad idea. She shouldn't have gone behind Victor's back. She was shady in the way that she got funding for this, so she decides to do a quick sell. She pulls out and says, no, I can't do it. At the very last minute, she cannot do it. So she needs to sell this warehouse to somebody. And who is the interested party? Why, it's Jack Be Nimble. Yes, he is. Jack, be quick. He decides he's looking for a warehouse to create a new lab space for Ashley. So he's gonna buy the building. Of course, Abby doesn't know it's Jack. Jack doesn't know Abby's the owner, and they come face to face, and Jack starts pressing on her to find out why she would be buying this building and selling it. And for some reason, rather than confiding in Ashley, I guess I can understand, because she had misinterpreted Ashley's advice, but she chose to confide in Jack. She told him everything, even right down to the fact that she tricked Victor to get the funding for the idea. And of course, rather than being disappointed in Abby, Jack is impressed. He says, "Oh, well, you are finally showing yourself to be more of an Abbott than a Newman. Let me give you the congratulations you deserve," which is not what Abby wanted to hear in that moment. She was ashamed of herself, and here Jack is feeding her positivity for something that she is and should be ashamed of. But Jack has a complete ulterior motive. Rather than telling her that she should stop and not do this idea, he says, "I love this idea and I want to invest in it. Let's you and me work together on the sly on this whole incubator idea." I mean, it's gonna spell trouble for Ashley big time if Victor finds out about any of this. And we all know that Abby's just a pawn here. Jack's saying he wants to invest in Abby's idea is really just a way for him to get inside info on all things Newman Enterprises and who's going to end up hurt and humiliated in the end. Abby. I love it when a man buys me a research center as a gesture, a grand gesture of love and affection. I mean, it happens to me all the time. I love it. I don't know what Nikki is so upset about. We're having the Nicole Newman Research Center for Neurological Diseases. That's a mouthful. You know, the NNRCFND. I had to write that down to make that joke. I was like, it's like a mouthful, the Nicole Newman Research Center for Neurological Diseases. So I'm calling it the NNRCFND from now on. Oh, yeah. Do you guys remember Nikki's MS? I guess, yeah, sure, I guess she still has that. I kind of think that might be another one of those instances where the new writers are trying to fill in little holes that were left in the past. I mean, because come on, Nikki has MS and it's never mentioned ever. And I don't know much about MS, but I'm pretty sure it's not a disease that just like comes and goes. I think that you have it and you suffer with it, and we never ever see that. It bothers me that Y&R just kind of shoved that storyline in there and then never pursued it. You can't do stuff like that and then just drop it. So I think it's at least good that they're bringing it back full circle. Gosh, I don't know. How dare Victor do something philanthropic? Nikki was livid about the whole thing. She was absolutely furious. It was funny that she was so furious, and yet she was wearing this bright pink, like kind of decorated sort of flourishy, like pink outfit. I mean, she just looked absolutely pretty in pink for how livid she was. I can actually think of a camisole that would go really well with that pink dress that Nikki was wearing. Oh, she was so mad because it's a grand gesture for a research center in her name that she knew nothing about, and now she's gonna have to attend galas with Victor. She sees it as a way that Victor is trying to control her, I think, and maybe keep her in his world and find forced reasons for them to have to be out in public together. And she's just not happy about it. She's trying very hard to find a way to distance herself from Victor and before he gets back. So she goes to Jack, of all people, to get her mojo back. She wants Jack to help her get her mojo back. But I as much as I liked seeing Nikki and Jack together this week, it smacked to me of another attempt to make Victor jealous. I think that it was less about moving on and starting anew. If Nikki wanted to start anew, she should have just gone for Ravi. She has made several comments several times about Ravi. So go for someone new. Don't go to Victor's biggest rival, who he's going to be ticked off about. I just felt like it was, I don't know if it was just her falling back on old ideas, but it didn't feel like healthy to me as a way to move on. I'm not saying I don't like Nikki and Jack. I think that they had very real relationships. And again, this is Y&R folding history back into the show. Nikki and Jack had long relationship, fairly long. They had children that they lost together. I mean, it's really a relationship that could have been and wasn't. And there have been several times over the years outside of their marriages where Nikki and Jack have kind of tried to flirt a little bit or pick something up a little bit, and it never really took off. I did enjoy the little stroll down memory lane that they took, sitting at the ranch. They are pulling out the photo album, looking at pictures of Victoria and Nicholas, and Jack was very much a stepfather to those children. He was very much there for that family while Victor was off building his empire and doing his various things. So it was nice to see them together, remembering, but I just feel nervous because we've been down this lane before. I'm afraid that the Nikki and Jack thing it's gonna end in either one of two ways. Either Jack is going to end up getting hurt when Nikki goes back to Victor, who of course walked in the door as they were taking their trip down memory lane, or I think Nikki is gonna get hurt when she finds herself in the middle of Jack's latest revenge plan. Tessa is really making herself a presence at the Newman Ranch. She is babysitting little Christian. She is adminning for Nikki. She's hobnobbing with Nick and Sharon. There was a cute little scene this week where Tessa is new and sort of bright-eyed when it comes to the world of the ranch, and Sharon recognizes that feeling. That's how she felt when she first came to the ranch, and they had a discussion where Sharon warns Tessa about, yeah, this place is really great, but the one thing you need to keep in mind is don't get on Victor's bad side. This is his house. This is his world. And now that Victor's back in town, I think that was probably really good advice. I'm wondering if Victor is not going to appreciate Tessa being around, having as much of the run of the house, possibly taking his place in some of Nikki's attention. I mean, really, it seems to me that all it's going to take to get Tessa out of the way is a background check. She's obviously hiding something. It's been mentioned before about background checks, and we'll just not do that for now. So as soon as somebody runs a background check, I feel like we're gonna know a whole lot more about Tessa. There was a moment this week where Reed was having his music lesson at the ranch, and Kendall, our little mini stalker, has pulled another stunt where she stole Reed's wallet to make him think, and then tells him that he lost it. Also, she can come by the ranch to drop it off to him and sneak another kiss with him, which he receives. No problem whatsoever. He doesn't push her away. He says, all right, I guess I could have some. And there was this just little moment between Kendall and Tessa where it seemed like Tessa kind of knew what Kendall was up to. I just got the vibe of, oh yeah, he lost his wallet. And whether that was just an older girl kind of seeing what the newer girl or the younger girl was doing, or whether maybe there is kind of a connection there between Kendall and Tessa. I don't know. But it definitely piqued my interest. That moment made me think that it's not a coincidence that Tessa's been talking on the the phone to someone, and then we have Kendall appearing as shady. She could certainly be Tessa's sister or something. I wouldn't be surprised by that. We have so many new characters in Genoa City now. The other thought that occurred to me is I wonder if Tessa or Kendall possibly could have a connection to another solo character like Juliet. Nikki's keeping a secret about Victor from the entire world. Victoria is keeping Victor's secret from Billy, and Nick is keeping Victor's secret from Chelsea. In another like cash making amends award, Victor decides to make a deposit of $500,000 to Chelsea 2.0's account with no strings attached. It's obviously him trying to do something to appease the guilt that he feels, and she accepts it happily, no strings whatsoever. Nick is suspicious though. We have Nick on the sidelines knowing exactly what Victor is doing, and it's eating him alive that he's keeping this secret from her. It's also, I think, becoming really hard for Nick and Chelsea to move on because of it. I think they're struggling to find ways to continue to connect in the wake of everything that's just happened. Although Chelsea decides to schedule a romantic massage so that they can connect together. This was like probably the funniest and greatest moment of Y&R all month, all year. I mean, I can't tell you how much I loved this massage scene. So the tables are all set up for their massage. They're both in their robes. Chelsea looks over and she's got this like hunky, beefy guy getting ready to give her a massage. Nick's masseuse hasn't arrived yet, but he finds out her name is Helga. So he's imagining like this big, like probably like old, hefty lady who's gonna like drool on him during the massage. And he's like, you know what? Let's not do this whole massage thing. Let's skip it. Let's just massage each other. So funny, so cute. And Chelsea says, no, Helga will be here any minute. Helga walks through the door. She's like beautiful and big boobed. Like there's a scene where Nick is standing there in his robe. We see how beautiful Helga is, and the next shot is Nick, like he's stripped down to his towel. He hops up onto the massage and he is like ready. I mean, I cannot tell you how freaking much I laughed. I gut laughed. It was well written, it was well performed comedy. I mean, that was a funny moment. I laughed so hard it hurt. I can't even remember the last time Y&R made me laugh so hard. And Nick is adorable. Well, there's nothing like a good old-fashioned soap opera paternity test to start out your week. You really can't put any stock in any kind of paternity test either. I mean, the last paternity test on Bella was probably, I mean, I was rigged. This one might be rigged. I don't know. You have to just let it go, I guess. Paternity tests are it's just Y&R's way of spinning the story whichever way they want to spin it. But I enjoyed it. I was surprised like how quickly it all came out. Chloe FedExes a perfectly penned letter to her two potential baby daddies, and to let them know that they could be Bella's father. And both of the guys go to the police. You know, Chloe's a fugitive. They want to tell Paul that they received these letters. They were untraceable packages from two totally different places in the world. I have no idea how she pulled that off. I don't know is there any way, is that a coincidence that Victor's gone and then Chloe was able to send these packages from two different places? I don't know. She's working with somebody. That's the thing. That's the thing that just eats at me still, because she couldn't have pulled that off by herself. Who's she working with? Is it Adam? I don't know why that would be possible, but I'll never stop believing. Don't stop believing. That could be a meme, like Adam's photo and then don't stop believing below it. Maybe I should create that. Anyway, so Paul is able to expedite the paternity test, so to unburden these two guys. It was so tense in those moments where Kevin and Billy are just waiting on those results. I mean, Kevin is sitting there with his stress ball, being his little ball of stress that he is. Billy is like an internal ball of stress too. It was so, I really liked the play between those two guys. It occurred to me in that moment too that who Jason Thompson reminds me of is Michael Keaton. He's got such a Michael Keaton vibe about him, and I love it. I love Michael Keaton. So I really like Jason Thompson, and I really like Greg Ricard. I think that I'd like to see more scenes of those two guys together. They were killing it. But I mean, in general, I liked, you know, taking away the paternity nonsense, blah, blah, blah. I liked the reveal. I liked that Paul brought a copy of the results for each of the guys. And there was this moment where each of them individually ripped open their envelopes, looked at the results, and then looked at each other. And there was just this cliffhanger for the audience. We don't know what the results are. Next thing we know, Billy goes back to Phyllis's house, pouring himself a drink. Kevin goes to Lauren and Michael's house, and it's like a couple scenes later before Kevin reveals he is the father. Wow. I mean, as I was, you know, I was hoping for that. Just purely from a storyline perspective, I was hoping for that. It's probably the least likely perspective, or I don't know. I was happy it was Kevin. And just like that, he is just this single father now. First time father, single father. I think this is going to be a challenge for Kevin. He doesn't know anything about how to do this. He's questioning himself. It's wonderful that he has Lauren and Michael there to help him. And he is also left with the task of telling this to Bella. Her mom is gone now. She still is with grandma, but now Bella has to understand somehow that Kevin is actually her father. There's this scene in the park where Kevin's pushing Bella on the swing and he's trying to explain to her that he's her father now. I admittedly, I was not as affected by that scene as I kind of wanted to be. I mean, it through no fault of the actor whatsoever. Like, I was in Greg Ricard's performance. He was so powerful and it was so sweet coming from him. But the little girl, Bella, was just so straight-faced and she was just like nodding and she seemed kind of blank and there was just nothing going on in there. Like, sometimes the child actors ruin it a little bit, and that was kind of how I felt. Sorry. But I do think it is going to be interesting to see where this journey takes Kevin. I don't know, maybe they should just soar as Bella. Make her a teenager all of a sudden. Like Lily and Kane's two kids, Charlie and Maddie, are going to be grown up. I think we're going to be seeing them within the next couple of weeks, and they're all of a sudden going to be teenagers. You know that Maddie and Reed are going to be the teen couple of the summer, right? So why not age Bella and have a proper teen triangle? My love life is currently a chemical spill. I love that imagery. It was Kevin who said that last week on Y&R, and I could just see it as the words left his mouth. My love life is a chemical spill. I could almost just see it happening visually. Kevin and Mariah were at the coffee house. Tessa, I think, was asking if they were a couple, and he was saying, no, my love life is a chemical spill. I just really liked that line. Sometimes the writers are just so rich in the way they put things. I thought that was kind of a standout line. And 7 of you got it right. Henry, you get it right every week. Congratulations. Also, Heather, Jillian, Robbie, Sharita, Gina, and Nancy. Congratulations, you guys, you got it right. My new line, I think you're probably gonna get it, and that's fine because I just really like this line, and I knew I was gonna use it as soon as I heard it. The opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. Very, very true. And I just think if you kind of meditate on that for a moment, it's just, it really is true. I mean, sometimes it kind of reminds me of, sometimes when I'll say, I don't even care. I'll get all mad and I'll go, I don't even care. And it's so obvious that I do care. That's why I'm getting mad about it. If you really don't care, then you would be indifferent. So I like that line. I've heard it before. The opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. If you know who said that line, and I bet you do, if you think about it at least, you can go to yrchat.com to leave your guess. And of course, if you get it right, your name will be read aloud and you'll get your congratulations next week. Okay. Let's get to your comments. Last week I had mentioned that I wasn't sure if Nikki back in the day was actually like a nude stripper because I wasn't watching then. I started watching in '93 and several people wrote in to tell me, Allie, yes, Nikki was a totally nude stripper. So no whitewashing Nikki's history. She was a stripper. So thank you for that little bit of info. I mean, where can you be a 25-year expert in something and still like have huge gaps? I mean, all I know is the photos and the flashbacks of her with the boa on stage. So that's where I rely on you guys that have been watching and experiencing for the full run of the show, or at least longer than I have. I loved, by the way, too, that Jack mentioned that a little bit, or he alluded to it a little bit, telling Nikki that her next project should be opening the Bayou 2, an all-male review. I like that idea. Beatrice left me a voicemail and she says, I am so sick of Nikki complaining about what Victor is doing. He gave money for a wing at the hospital for MS. What's the big deal? How is he making your life a living hell because of what he's doing for MS? I liked the way you put that, Beatrice, because it's like, I felt like Nikki's reaction over that was so big and so over the top, and she can be mad, I guess, at Victor's intentions, but is there no part of you that could be maybe a little bit grateful that he did this for you and did this for MS? Does he get no credit whatsoever for doing something good for charity and for a cause that specifically is for her? I mean, it's just, I guess maybe she just sees it as Victor has an unlimited amount of money, so he only did this to get at me. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of a weird thing to be so angry about, right? I don't know. Julie at yrchat.com left me a message, and she was kind of giving me a few ways that old Victor is still around and was still around even after he was supposed to be new Victor, okay? So we are talking in terms of what Victor did with Adam, then he kind of changed his ways, retired, became a little different, but Julie was giving me some ways that he wasn't really changed. He was saying that he was changed, but not really. Number one, Julie says, when Chloe called him, he lied to Nikki and ran to meet her. That's old Victor's actions. Number two, Chloe said, help me or else I'll turn you in. Victor agrees to do what she says to save his own skin. That's old Victor. Number three, he was initially lying and having a cover up to Nick about his involvement with Chloe, which is secretive and dismissive, also old Victor. So it seems, Julie says that it is his recent actions that have infuriated the family, and that's what's proving to them that Victor didn't change. Great perspective. Gary left me a voicemail. I like this point, saying, why is Chelsea so supportive toward Victor? Chelsea knows that Victor framed Adam with the diary. She knows that Victor forced Adam to escape, which set the plan into motion for him to end up dead. So Gary says, why has she forgotten all of that? That had not occurred to me, but yeah, I mean, Chelsea is being so forgiving of Victor. Chelsea, who was married to Adam, is ready to forgive and forget and provide tons of empathy toward Victor, when his family, who didn't really like Adam, they're ready to turn their backs on him, kick him out of the family, and it just seems like Chelsea should be the one who has all of these reasons to be mad. Yes, she doesn't know the end part about his involvement with Chloe, but if anybody has a reason to hate Victor and to want to see him pay, it would be Chelsea's. And it isn't consistent that she's being so, I guess, meek maybe toward him, but I'm sure that has just got to be setting up the disappointment that she's going to feel when she finds out that Nick didn't tell her the truth about that. I think that Chelsea probably, from a story perspective, it doesn't make sense if for consistency, but I think probably Y&R is just building to a deeper sense of betrayal. They're probably letting her be kind of mild right now so that when she finds out the truth, she can unleash the full fury on Nick and on Victor. That's just my guess, but that's an excellent point, Gary. Mary Ann at yrchat.com mentioned this, and actually Gary had mentioned this the other day too, that there was another troublemaker assistant that Nikki had a few years back, and it was Maggie. Do you guys remember Maggie? She was played by Hollywood pariah Sean Young, and I loved her. I like Sean Young. I thought she was just so pretty. I just think she's just gorgeous. So she was actually someone who had helped Victor. He brought her out to the ranch, made her Nikki's assistant, and Maggie ended up totally turning on Nikki, spiking her drink, getting her to drink again, and ultimately, I think, trying to marry Victor. I think she wanted to de-seat Nikki and take her place on the throne. And also, Marianne had mentioned that she had blackmailed Deacon to help her out with that. I miss Deacon too. He didn't quite fit on Y&R, but I miss him on Bold and the Beautiful. Very good point. I like these kind of flashbacks. Sandra at yrchat.com says, well, if Scott doesn't want to go undercover again as a secret agent, they could always enlist Chloe. My goodness, she sent letters from Malta and the Cayman Islands, all whilst hiding out in her wedding dress from Victor's henchmen. What a gal. Yeah, it's not exactly the most realistic. Like I said, they gotta have her working with somebody. I think the actress is gonna come back. I think we're gonna see Chloe again, and I think it's gonna be sooner rather than later. Sharita left me a voicemail, and she says there's just too many missing pieces in the whole Chloe murdered Adam thing. Sharita says, I need a flashback to show me exactly what Chloe did. And I have to just pause there for a sec because, yeah, it's hard to conceive of exactly what the chain of events was there. I mean, the wrench, what was that? And then how did Chloe make it back to the apartment before Chelsea did? I mean, there's just so, I would like to have seen kind of at least a flashback scene that showed Chloe doing the deed, or at least Chloe doing what she thought she did. I think that was maybe a missed opportunity. But I also like that Sharita said that she loves the idea of Kevin living at the mansion with Billy and Jill. That would drive them crazy, Sharita says. Yeah, and actually Anna had left me a voicemail too, saying that she hopes that Kevin and Bella end up at the Chancellor Mansion because it would then be alive with people again. Yes, please tell me, Y&R, that that's what you're gonna do. Tell me first that you're actually going to develop this warehouse into a lab for Ashley, and we're going to see that, and then tell me that Bella and Kevin are going to move into the mansion because he's going to need help raising her. He's going to need Esther, and that would just be so funny. I mean, just based on the little bit of interaction that Kevin and Billy had in the police station, that was some good chemistry. Those are two actors that should work together more often. So I like the idea of them tripping up at each other at the mansion. I like the idea of Esther being up in there offering, whey cookies or whatever. I just think that would be really fun. There's a lot of potential for Jill coming in there too. And as Anna said, bring some life back into that house. That was the center stage for so many years, and it would be great to have that again. Cheyenne left me a comment at yrchat.com saying, I found it funny that everyone at the top of the tower were all up in other people's businesses and neglecting their own dates. Also, great scenes with Hillary and Devon this week. It's pretty clear that they are still in love with each other. Jordan and Mariah are both rebounds. Every time Hillary or Devon move, Mariah and Jordan are like shadows. Ooh, that's some poetry there, Cheyenne. I know, I just feel like the Devon Hillary story is not over. I think Jordan and Hillary have the most chemistry of the new couples, but I'm not sure if it's gonna be long term. There's just this part of me that's still rooting for Hillary and Devon, even though I'm not sure if Y&R is wanting to take it back in that direction. Maybe they're just gonna pause and give us Hillary and Devon after some time has gone by, sort of similar to what they did with Billy and Phyllis. I don't know. Sharita also mentioned in her voicemail, and I wanted to say this too, that she feels like Lily is going to be more upset about Kane lying about sleeping with Juliet than actually him sleeping with Juliet. Sharita says that's always been their problem, that it's Kane's default position to lie. Sharita also says, I'm interested to see a Hillary, Lily, Jordan, or Hillary, Lily, Kane triangle. I wanted to make sure to mention at the very end of Friday's show, Lily got up from the table. I don't know if she maybe had a little bit too much to drink or if her shoe was wonky or something, but she stood up and like fell into Jordan's arms. She's like sitting on his lap with, she's like got legs for days, and I'm sure it didn't bother him whatsoever. I mean, a beautiful model just falls in my lap. I don't know if Kane's gonna walk back to the table and see that, but I'm sure that's gonna be a sticking point. And I mean, you gotta admit, like, the bitchiness that was going on between Lily and Hillary was pretty good at the table. I loved the moment where Lily didn't even want to clink wine glasses with Hillary. She just sees Hillary as something that belongs on the bottom of her shoe. When Lily is such a busybody, I wanted to just strangle her for marching Ravi into the date that was trying to go on between he and Ashley. Lily just needs to mind her own business. She is just a perpetual busybody. She was getting up on Devon and Mariah on their date. Like, Lily, get your own life. Last week we had done a poll and I asked you who your favorite couple of the week was. And early on in the week, it seemed like Ravi and Ashley were gonna be the winners, but then the Philly fans came out in droves. Like, Billy and Phyllis have this passionate fan base. I mean, it's such an obviously good couple, and people just really are responding to them. It was like hands down, Phyllis and Billy, 74% was the couple of the week. I don't know if it maybe skewed a little bit because there was a ton of votes for them. And then second place was Ashley and Ravi, and then third, Sharon and Scott. It seems like Sharon and Scott had some vocal fans. Like, there are a few people that were saying, I'm starting to feel it. I like the way Scott treats Sharon, and there's some potential there. I think that's true. And let's see, I got some good comments about Billy and Phyllis. I really liked Ambreen left me a comment at yrchat.com saying, I voted for Billy and Phyllis. I just started watching a few weeks ago, so I didn't see them before, but they're fun and funny and sexy together. I specifically like to hear from newer viewers because you're seeing just what the current chemistry is, and you're totally untainted by the stuff that's come before. And I think that soap opera fans specifically, because there's so much history, like, we can't forget. Like, sometimes we pick things that we just want to hang on to and we just never let them go. And I think that sometimes that might get in our way of enjoying things that are funny and sexy and fresh. And I think that's what Billy and Phyllis are, so I'm willing to just move on. Alyssa at yrchat.com says, Billy and Phyllis for me. Their sexy moments are hot, but their quieter, more intimate moments are so sweet and organic. It doesn't feel soapy, if that makes sense. The actors do a really good job of selling it. I specifically like, Alyssa, that you mentioned the hot being hot and the intimate being organic, because we had both of those this week. Even just the sweet moments of Billy and Phyllis sitting on the couch together, I could really get into. There was something about these two that felt really comfortable to me and really real to me. And it felt like a real relationship that I'm interested to continue to see. Ellen at YRChat.com also says, I voted for Philly because they belong together. Their prior marriages can't be revived. I think maybe that is a stumbling point for people who are not into Billy and Phyllis, and you're totally okay if you're a Billy and Victoria fan, or if you are a Jack and Phyllis fan, or you just don't like Billy and Phyllis together. It's all totally okay. You can feel however you want, but I think that as fans, once again, we kind of like to hang on to the relationships that we like and are kind of not as able to go along with the flow. I try pretty hard to go along with the flow, but it helps that I can't remember anything ever. I can remember, I have flashes of things that I remember, but just like I'm a very kind of in the moment, I think, sort of viewer, so that helps me. Superplex at YRChat.com. I just thought this was funny. Superplex says, Vicky standing beside Phyllis has all the sexual magnetism of a wet noodle. It really is true. I mean, I like Victoria. I'm a Victoria fan. But when you put Victoria next to Phyllis, Phyllis is like bubbling over with sexuality, and Victoria is ice. See, I've said it before. Phyllis is hot as fire, and Victoria is ice. I think that Billy's drawn to the fire. But I tell you what, I kind of wonder if we are starting to maybe begin on a new era of Victoria. I really wouldn't be surprised, because we're starting to see her make attempts to slowly become more relaxed, to become more fun, to become more spontaneous. So it's very possible that Y&R is going to try to draw her in that direction so that she can compete for Billy's affection. I mean, we all know that she is capable of being more spontaneous and more fun and relaxed. After all, she did wear a funny shirt, a funny t-shirt like 7 years ago. Okay, everybody, that's our Y&R chat for the week. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you keep those comments coming. I really appreciate them. It makes a big difference to me to be able to look and see how other people are experiencing the show on a weekly basis. And I'm just very grateful that you've chosen me and Y&R Chat. So thank you very much. YRChat.com is the website if you'd like to leave some comments there, or go to Facebook, YouTube. All those links are on the site. The voicemail number is 309-588-4569. As always, I love hearing from you, and I will be back next week to chat. Okay, everyone, have a good week. Bye.